I finally told my dad why nobody wants to be around him. My dad came to my house one Sunday afternoon, looking upset. He sat at my kitchen table and said, "I don't get any more. Nobody calls me. Your sister barely visits. My grandkids never ask about me. What happened?" Then he looked at me and said, "You tell me the truth." I stared at him, because for 30 years, nobody had ever told him the truth. My dad wasn't a bad man. He wasn't violent. He worked hard. He paid his bills. But every room he walked into somehow became uncomfortable. He criticized everything, everyone, all the time. If you bought a new car, he'd explain why you picked the wrong one. If you got promoted, he'd tell you why the job wasn't secure. If your kid drew a picture, he'd point out what could be improved. Nothing was ever simply good enough. I remember my sister's engagement dinner. She showed Dad her ring. His first words were, "Are you sure you're ready for marriage?" I remember my nephew telling everyone he wanted to become a musician. Dad spent 20 minutes explaining why artists struggle financially. I remember my wife cooking Christmas dinner. Dad took one bite and said, "It's good, but your mother seasons potatoes better." Every single comment was small, but together, they were exhausting. So I looked at him and finally said, "People don't avoid you because they hate you." He frowned. I said, "They avoid you because they never feel good after talking to you." The room went completely quiet. I kept going. Nobody wants every achievement corrected. Nobody wants every decision criticized. Every time we're around you, we leave feeling smaller. He looked stunned. Then he said quietly, "I was just trying to help." I nodded. I know, but helping someone and judging someone aren't the same thing. For the first time in my life, my dad had no response. He just stared at the table. After a minute, he asked, "Is that really how everyone feels?" I said, "Honestly, yes." He sat there for a long time. Then he nodded once and left. I thought he'd be angry. I thought he wouldn't speak to me again. But 2 days later, my phone rang. It was Dad. The first thing he said was, "I called your sister today." I waited. Then he said, "I asked her about her new job, and I didn't give any advice." I laughed. He laughed too. Then he said something I'd never heard before. "I'm trying." That was 6 months ago. He's still not perfect. Sometimes he slips. But last week my nephew asked, "Is Grandpa coming to dinner? He's more fun now." And honestly, that might be the nicest thing anyone has ever said about my father.